go. And that's us live now, David. So, hi everybody.
Hello.
Thanks everybody for turning up. Big thanks to David. He's running on fumes tonight. He's very tired, and appreciate him coming in for a wee while. So we'll maybe go half an hour, 45 minutes, whatever David's capable of before he falls asleep at the keyboard. And yeah, we'll start with our David. I'm sure everybody in the chat already knows who you are, but just for maybe those coming back later, if you want to just shout your channel out and do all that.
Yeah, sure. So I'm David Worley. I do interviews with various different atheists and personalities from within the community, particularly on YouTube. And yeah, basically we go into various different non-religious subjects. I like to talk about various different things. If I was talking to Telltale, I might be talking to him about retro video games. If I had like a Lloyd Evans kind of on, I'll be talking to him about various things that he likes now that he wouldn't have been allowed to enjoy in Jehovah's Witness, like Star Wars or football or whatever it may be. So yeah, we go off into different angles and do the gaming. This is mainly the podcast.
Oh, well, you have a fair amount of interviews now. You're well up over 100, aren't you?
As of this recording, I'm at 100. We had to drop out on yesterday, last night, because Angie got some bad news. So yeah, but I'm still waiting on a potential podcast this week with Stephen Woodford in time for the election that we're having on Thursday.
Yeah, well, that's going to be fun.
Exciting stuff. Yeah.
Their politics in this country is just an absolute mess, and you're in England and I'm in Northern Ireland, so it's even more of a fucking mess. But yeah. Well, David, at the end of the day now, we can't really have you on without mentioning the reason that you're YouTube famous now. Is there an update on that, or you're arranging your own get together now?
Yeah, just to give people a brief overlook, because otherwise each show just becomes exactly the same as the last.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah, we've watched all of them. I mean, I was there all the time. So.
Yeah. Everybody knows.
You're probably in the live chat. Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody pretty much knows what's going on, but do you want to give you're setting up your own now, or trying to?
Yeah. So
as the idea.
The idea is very briefly. I interviewed a conference organizer. He said some things that got him fired. A few of the speakers from his event dropped out. We've now picked up those speakers, and we're organizing an alternative event. Details of which will be properly broadcast in the new year, because let's face it, it's not going to happen this time, anytime this month. And yeah, it's looking promising so far. We did very briefly touch upon the live update, as it were, with the messages within the last hour from Rachel Oates saying that the co-organizer that is still organizing the event is telling people that she's going to speak about sexism at that particular event. That, as far as I'm aware, still has Richard Dawkins going to it, still has Lawrence Krauss, Cosmic Skeptic. So, yeah, we'll see how that transpires. But Rachel's made it very, very clear that she's not going, and she's not even been invited.
Yeah.
So I've asked her directly for where he has claimed this, whether it's in like a comment section to Hemant Mehta's blog or things like that, because just the way this guy operates. Actually, just to give you an idea, let's go into emails. I just want to.
How's my sound coming through now, Tony? Is it better?
Yeah. So I got an email last week from John Richards, the co-organizer, who is now just the organizer because he sacked Lance. His whole interview sorry, his whole email that he sent me simply reads, "Interview me. I won't be drunk. John."
Yeah, he did sort
That's
of.
it.
Yeah, that's a bit short. Give me 1 second. I let this dog back in.
Sure thing.
Sorry, I'm back. Go on ahead there.
So, yeah, I was only going to add to that email eventually has made its way to Shannon Q. I don't know whether he has replied to her directly. I mean, I haven't been tagged in any further emails from her. For some reason, I get this vibe that he's only really been talking to me. And I don't want to, frankly. People can't just invite themselves onto my channel for a platform.
Well, you can understand the point of
Especially-
view that he wants to come across and give his point of view, or his, because he's obviously a co-organizer and now the full organizer, so he's obviously going to try and save his little convention.
And that's the point. It's everything for him to gain. I haven't got anything to gain from it. It's all about him trying to. So it then becomes an issue of, do I end up platforming a guy who hasn't addressed the issue on several accounts, just from lack of professionalism? He hasn't said anything official. I mean, the comments from Rachel there suggest that he's making shit up. If I can say that on here.
Oh yeah, we don't give two flying fucks.
Yeah, that's it. I thought as much, but yeah. And some various different comments where he's going back and forth with different people in the comments, but he won't seemingly reply to Rachel or Shannon for an interview, or even so much as have an official word. It's just it's a further continuation of incompetence from the way he's written that email to the fact that Aaron and Miriam, I think, are still on the website as speakers right now, and they've cancelled like over a week ago. So yeah.
See, there's a lot of things that could be there. He could be trying to save face. He again, as I say, he's obviously trying to save his money. He's invested a lot of money into this, and maybe he has high hopes that he can get people back. I doubt very much he can, but these are the things that he did come on and don't get me wrong, man. I do drink sometimes when I'm on. I probably be drunk later on stream, but
you're Irish.
It's not as an excuse though, but you still have to be at least semi-decent person. You can still be drunk and be a decent person.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. It does feel, from the evidence that we've amalgamated thus far, including a second Mr. Atheist video, is that, this is a continuation. This seems like a PR moment where they've got rid of Lance just simply for image and for face, and haven't explicitly stated this sort of behaviour is completely unacceptable. We apologise on behalf of this organisation. It's like, no, it's got nothing to do with us.
Yeah, just cut ties and run.
It's like, at least acknowledge what happened,
Well, it would be better, but it doesn't seem that they're going to do anything with that. And that you've got the support of the community here anyway. If you're going to do David, whatever it's going to be called, or Worley Field, or whatever it's going to be called, the Worley go round. Who knows? We're all here.
Wallenbury Festival.
Yeah, we're all going to go to yours.
We did. When we were maybe about 10 years younger, me and a few mates if we ever had house parties, we'd call them. We just put the word "fest" at the end of it, and then it becomes like an event. So it would be Dave Fest or Tubes Fest or Kyle Fest, and there was these just like names that we'd give these events that would be just like, oh yeah, do you remember that time when this happened at such and such?
Oh, we did the opposite.
Charfest
We
and-
tried to like
yeah.
calm them down. So if parents asked, it's like, no, it's just a social gathering. That's all it is. It's just a small social gathering. Usually about 15, 20 people and lots of drink. And one time there was a marine flare set up in the living room. But yeah, just a small social gathering.
Just a small flare. That's normal.
Oh yeah, he thought it was hilarious. Us throwing water on it, and it bloody waterproof, like. But these are the
Of course
things.
it would be.
Yeah, well, these are the things that you do, you know. Well, David, I'm more interested in yourself now, right? All of that aside, and we've
Right.
done the whole drama and all that, and why you're recently YouTube famous. You were never a Christian or anything like that. I heard you say that you were always an atheist, yes?
Yeah.
And were your parents Christian, or were they just, spiritual, or just didn't take the, like, I hope to raise my daughter not
No.
Christian, but my girlfriend is a Catholic,
Okay. No, because as far as I'm aware, my mother doesn't have particularly strong views in that sort of respect. And then I remember there's various different memories of blasphemy just being normalised throughout my life, whether it be being aware of Monty Python or
Good parents.
my I remember I can't remember which grandparent died. I think it was probably Nan, and my uncle, so my dad's brother, went up to the front to like pray or whatever,
Yeah,
and he came across as very reluctant to anyway, and then my dad was like mocking him, kind of thing. So that's been very normal. I know sitting at the back of assembly in year 6, once we'd moved out of West London to where we are now,
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting at the back of assembly and there was some sort of prayer going on at the front. It's like, oh, let's all now like bow our heads for like whatever, and I was just like, in my head, no,
Yeah, it just doesn't make
not
sense.
buying this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was never any resistance at all to anything. I mean, to the point where you could argue, as I would, that my generation, my friendship group, it's what at least feels like 90% atheist. It doesn't come up, and maybe that's just because it's
Well, in the UK,
kept
it isn't as much.
private, but
It wouldn't be as out there as well as it would be in America. You have, I don't know if you got
Yeah.
a wee bit of a shock, but I didn't think that creationism still existed in the world until I started coming into this community. Like, creationism
Yep.
was a giant shock for me. That, all right, that maybe flat Earth was as well, but that's a bit of a
Yeah.
joke. But
many a person have got drunk from me reciting the story of my first week in America on the channel, thanks to the drinking game. But just for a brief overview, and to get people like Tony drunk, if he's still in the chat, which I can't see, but the very first week I was in America, I was staying with pro-lifers. They had 7 kids, and the eldest daughter was about 18 or something, 17, 18.
yeah,
And she was proclaiming very confidently that basically ozone layer science was nonsense. There's no proof that it's damaging the ozone layer. And I didn't have a sufficient answer, so I ended up trying to find out and saying, oh, well, maybe I should actually, know more about so like carbon 14 and
Yeah.
things like that, which I don't even now I'm sort of a bit vague on, but that kick-started more of an education for me that eventually led to the Cosmic Sketchy videos of Dillahunty or just everyone eventually. I can't remember who was first, but yeah.
And watching them then give you the kick to start your own.
Well, I was originally planned to write a book for some reason, because I don't even read books, but I just felt like I was compelled to get enough of those thoughts down. It seemed as if there was a sufficient quantity of ideas to actually yield a book's worth of material. So I was like, well, okay, so the book's going to include some form of interviews. I'm going to have to record these. Okay, so I'm going to have to record them. I'm going to have to write down every word and then manuscript them, and that'll just be an easy way of making up pages in the book. And I was like, why don't I just film it instead? And then, well, am I going to do it? And I was thinking, like, cameras live, like there's like a tripod and it's just me talking to something. No, I wouldn't want. Oh, we could just do it online. Yeah, and I can do it remotely. And then the podcast started, and I couldn't really do anything about it while I was in America. You'll notice the difference in timings between DRP 1, 2, 3 and 4, which was the last time I had Sultanist Fan on. It was about 4 months difference. So once I was back here, then I could do something about it.
And you think your connections in America has helped you out a wee bit? Like, you've got some good famous people on, or do you just poke at them and annoy them enough till they come on, like I did with you?
Oh, yeah, basically. I definitely no. I had no the actual American side of the community has absolutely no connection to my trip to America.
Yes, right.
Those paths did not cross in the slightest. I remember driving past a Scientology building in LA the second year I was out there, where I was a bit more, like a bit wiser and a bit sort of more attuned to various different things.
Yes.
And even I was a football coach at the time, so you start to sort of being in that environment with other football coaches that are really just out there on a jolly, and they're just there for the money and trying to pull American birds because they can, because they have an accent.
Yeah,
and it's
no.
like, well, yeah, that is true. That happens. And you talk to these people on these long drives that you end up going on, and they're just ripping into the families that they stay with, like to the point where there's this guy from up north. I mean, he was a complete dick, but he was staying with this really rich family that were doing something or other, and he's saying, like, here's a picture of me, sort of nothing being shown, but naked on top of like their Porsche or like their sports cars and things like that, and it's like really risque things that could get him sent all the way back to the UK, and they end up just ripping on religion and things like that from the people that they're staying with, because you end up doing grace. And I found it very odd on one occasion when I was in San Diego, where they even so much as like apologized first. It's like, oh, sorry, this is like something we do, and then did grace.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you apologizing for? It's your house. So there's some very interesting little stories. Some I haven't revealed, but yeah, I can't remember the exact question. It was something to do with
how did you get on the internet? What was
my yeah.
Well, we do tangents here. This is the tangent channel. Me and Richard.
Yes, good.
Yeah, we did the David and Goliath story on a Thursday, and Oh, we just tangent. Like, we do an hour every week, and probably only about 20 minutes of it is on topic. The rest of it's just us talking shit.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Well, people watch for whatever reason. They can always come back, so we have to say thank you to them. And hi, Maya, for turning up. And Messenger Reveals is in the chat if you know of John. No.
Now, are these comments meant to be coming up on the right-hand side on StreamYard?
No.
StreamYard.
No, do you use OBS?
I was gonna say.
You use OBS, yes?
Yes.
And do you use Zoom or Skype, or what do you use?
Zoom. Ideally.
Well, I'm just
You'll
doing
see,
the exact same what you did with Zoom, only I'm using StreamYard. I'm doing the exact same thing. Just crop on the screen and send it out via OBS.
Yeah, makes sense, because you'll see on the RP100 the issues I have using Skype. Because I have to like get a display of the screen, and then for the whole thing I'm out of OBS and I'm just staring on Skype, and I can't touch anything, otherwise it comes up on
well,
screen.
StreamYard is
like
quite
3
handy.
times.
StreamYard is handy if you're only doing small interviews, 1, 2, up to 6 people, it's dead on. Plus it has a screen share function, and if you crop the screen properly, you can have the 2 videos and then the screen share all going at once, and it looks quite good. It's handy enough function. Plus the people can that's in the video, because part of Richard's story is David and Goliath. Am I shouting?
No. It's
Is that
it's fine. Carry on.
His story is the planets colliding. So we got universe. You're skipping, man. Is it the stream or is it David?
It was. My internet's fine.
Yeah, mine seems to be fine. Anyway, right, we'll keep
Yeah,
going. We'll keep going.
Jump. Yeah, little hiccup.
His story is about the planets colliding and Mercury going out of its orbit, hitting Io and another moon of Jupiter, and then crashing into Jupiter. So we got Universe Sandbox 2, and with StreamYards, I can bring him into the call, and I have 2 screens, so I then put Universe Sandbox on the other one, and he can actually see what I'm doing while it's still all running through OBS. It's very, very handy to use. Zoom, though, has the ability with more than 6 people. But anyone in mobile seems to be having problems with it.
Yeah, I am considering upgrading on Zoom, just so I can then end up doing like a 100-person hangout or whatever it is. Everything just kicks off. It should be fun. But no, I was going to say that I always have issues with these specific earpieces. I've had them since last Christmas, so it very occasionally will just cut out here and there. The last time I was wearing them, for some reason, I think because of sinuses and this time of year, I think something from my Eustachian tube, whatever it's called, is slightly blocked. So my hearing in this ear has been slightly blocked for a bit. So that's hence why I'm adjusting this now and again, because I can hear myself properly, but there's still like a high-pitched whine.
Totally
it's not your voice.
I actually understand that. My mother, well, maybe in this last 5 or 6 years, whatever it was, I can't directly remember. She had to go in for an operation, and my granny years ago had to get it done as well. I'd probably have to get it done. Same thing. The mucus doesn't run down, and it runs back up into your jaw. If you lean forward and actually look down, it causes pain in our jaws. It starts to get blocked that much. So, yeah, I get where you're coming from, man.
Yeah, maybe.
It's something.
Oh, maybe you're just making me look stupid, but yeah, that is.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. Your sinuses can
yeah.
run up and get blocked in your face. If it's not big enough, it shouldn't hurt.
Just a bit down there, yeah.
Yeah, but if you lean your head right forward, it starts to hurt. But yeah, that's the same thing. Damn old human body and evolution,
Yeah.
Well, that's what we were saying earlier, man.
Yeah.
Creationism. Did that not blow your mind that still exists in America?
Yeah, because essentially we are even, well, maybe not so much in Northern Ireland, but in the part of England I'm in, it's very easy to just go through your life thinking, well, isn't everyone atheist?
Oh, well, no, it's not like that over here.
Knowing, yeah. Yeah. Hence I stopped myself. Yeah. yeah, to realize that the majority of atheists are indeed apostates and they have left a particular religion, typically
Well, it's generally more cultural
Christianity.
thing here to do. It is a cultural thing to do, and if you want to get married, my cousin wanted to get married in a church and be traditional, and she wasn't,
Yeah.
a church-going lady or anything like that. She did the cultural things, get your child christened and stuff like that there. She had one kid before marriage, and then they were getting married and have now 4 others. But they had to start going every Sunday to the Church of Ireland church that they went to. They had to start going every Sunday. Then they had to attend little classes where the minister would explain things to them about marriage and all that there before that they were allowed to be married in the church. And now they go every fucking Sunday, take their kids and everything. It's, it's not great now. She is a wee bit of not a Bible thumper, but she's went down that route, like.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I think if you're gonna hire out spaces in the same way that we've been trying to find some spaces for the alternative event that we've been trying to organise, there's various different churches that offer their services, and it's to the point as well. I haven't heard back from one person. Excuse me, I got far too excited just then, because I'm looking at various different theatre lecture hall kind of environments for this one. There's various different universities. I won't mention which one. There's one in London that I'd contacted that has a pretty decent setup with a huge screen and like a cinema type screen and stage and the correct seating, like staggered going up kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it looks right, kind of thing. They came back to me and they said, well, we'll have to look into all these different events that you're talking about, because we have a congregation on Sundays and they might get offended if we lease it out on the Saturday night
to a group of atheists.
And I kept it polite, but you didn't ask me once whether I was offended, which I'm not. Like, this, it's a space. You're renting it. You're a university as well. And that's the whole point. That's what's so concerning. It's particularly in recent years, various different individuals have garnered quite a lot of support from, just simply stating you should be allowed to discuss things in universities. And it gets people deplatformed in universities just because they have a particular opinion. It's like, well, I disagree with that opinion, but at least I'm not going to try and shut you down.
Not recently, but this year I went to a birthday, my cousin's wee girl's birthday, and it was rented in an area of the church. It was the community hall of the church that they rented, because it was the cheapest local place to do it. And over in the corner they had a wee library, not a library, but a wee small bookstore, where you could buy and sell stuff. It's literally only like 2 or 3 bookshelves, but it had books on it that people would give in. And I was actually surprised to see, now I'm not a massive fan of him, I said that before, Richard Dawkins' Evolution or God, whatever the bloody book was, blue cover, can't really remember what it is.
God, you mean God Delusion?
God Delusion, or it might be that. I can't remember exactly whatever it was.
That's the big famous one.
Well, it was only £1. It was only £1, and I give them £2 for it, right? Because at the time I worked in a depot where there was an actual customer who came in who I would have discussions with on a regular basis on the topic of God. He was a outspoken. He went to the local protest there quite recently in Belfast when they were opening the abortion clinic. That one. He was one of the people in the.
Okay.
He was out protesting against that. He is an old Earth creationist. He doesn't believe in evolution. He can't get his head round pond scum to people, and he said that. So when I seen the book for £1, I brought it in and I give it to him. I was like, here, have a wee read of that there, man. I don't really like him that much, but have a look at this. And we would trade books and trade conversations and things like that. I don't work there anymore, so I haven't talked to him, but he has my contact details. He may still eventually contact me, but Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to have these talks in real life. I don't know if you do at all. Like, you probably are limited, especially with your job, if you're working with kids in school and stuff like that. You know, it's like, come in for a parent-teacher
Yeah.
meeting, you know, and pounce it on them. Like,
Well, yeah. It's there's various different things that have been done. So I occasionally have to cover an actual lesson on. The other week I did Sikhism with some of the 8 and 9-year-olds. It was it was a good conversation. It mostly involved Q&A for those like 3 Sikh kids that were in that particular class. So we just end up having Q&A and say, okay, so what happens if you don't do this?
that's a
And what
great way
happens
to do
if
it.
this happens? And they eventually just sort of, I just left it to them. Because the natural kids' curiosity, they did have quite a few different questions.
Oh yeah, kids are fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah, I've got a wee girl of 2.5, and I just love doing things and showing her things, and you know, their brain's like a sponge up until they're at least 5 or 6. You know, it's what they can take in is shocking. You know, people don't give kids enough fucking credit. They really don't. You know, the ability to learn is greater than people would give them credit for. Like, you know, my wee girl's 2.5, and if her feet reached the pedals in my car, she'd be away. Like, we've caught her in the car with the keys, and just from being out with me, you know, picked that up at such a wee young age. But I am one of them proud daddies. Here, look at my photographs. I used to hate these people, but now I have one of my own. It's like, here, have you seen my daughter? She's beautiful. Oh, yeah, I'm one of them annoying people. What about yourself, David? Have you any kids or anything like that? You're still a single young man. You're going to pick a lady up at World. What would we call it, nerdy? Worley or Worley Con.
What is being affectionately called Dave Con. It's going to be along the lines of like DRC for convention or something like that.
No, Dave Con's definitely better, and it will work.
I know.
Have you not heard of me? Oh, they named a convention after me in London.
Yeah, MathPig Con.
No, nobody would come to it. There'd just be mud everywhere.
It's going to take some explaining, but yeah. So where were we? The only thing I learnt from Lance is obviously if you want to end up meeting people, you just got to set up your own conference. You know, that's the way it goes. No, obviously not. There are some very interesting bits that might come out of this. I know that getting the guests themselves has been the easy bit.
Yeah.
Like the really easy bit. I know that there's various people like Lloyd Evans who's saying, "Oh, I'm in London that week. I can extend my stay for that weekend if you'll have me." It's like, well, yeah.
Let me think about it. Hold on, do I check my diary? Yeah.
So I was thinking, just a little teaser. I know Aaron Ra always has already responded, and he loves the idea of doing a flashback debate where they pretend to argue in favour of their old religion, and the audience then votes on which one's the most convincing.
Now that sounds like fun.
I think so. Yeah, I'm thinking of trying to restrict them and test them by saying you're not allowed any notes, maybe like a 10-minute riff off the top of your head.
Yeah.
And see what, you can interact with the crowd, obviously, just don't assault them or anything. And yeah, you can like basically just try and do as much as you can to try and really actually care.
Well, as you see,
about trying to convince these people.
As you've seen quite recently, and what I try to do here, man, is not really prepare anything. You know, I would reach out to somebody and they'd be like, "Well, what's the topic?" No topic, just come on, just
Yeah.
And I find that will get you to know the real person better. If you sit down and prepare, you could write anything, and if you spend long enough memorizing it, you can be anybody. Like, you do it off the cuff. You say things and do things that reveal your true character, whether it be a good thing or a bad thing. But
as much as these sorts of speakers have been around the block and they've done it before. I don't think they've had to improvise live.
Yeah.
They're always asked the same old questions and they're always given the same old answers, which is actually ironically one thing Lance touched upon.
Yeah, ask harder questions, David.
That's all right, because that's what I do. I let people run themselves into the ground if need be. So that's what we're going to do to Anra and Lloyd Evans, possibly Miriam if she's up for it. I do need to follow up on some other names before I would announce anything. But I know this. You could probably list some off the top of your head that have been loosely involved within this whole thing, and they're like, yeah, I'm definitely there.
It's like if you make a video, it's an auto invite for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, me and Critical's also in the UK, and we were just talking, even as it was happening and unfolding, and people were thinking about going on the night when we were watching yours and getting our 50 quid discount on the tickets and all, and he was talking to the wife, and I was talking to a friend of mine, and as the night generally progressed, it was like, oh, hold on, maybe we should just all go meet up and perhaps go to the meal to meet some people famous, and then just leave and wreck Brighton. You know, go out in the town. And it'd just be nice to meet these people that you talk to in the chat, that you have these conversations with, you know. Okay, we see each other's face and stuff like that there, and sometimes I show mine, not that I like doing it, but it sneaks up there every now and again, but it's just nice because text can only do so much, and then VC is good and video is better, but there's nothing actually can beat in real life standing beside the person and giving them an actual jibe in the side and seeing their facial reactions as it actually unfolds. You know, did he actually mean that? Agree. Read between the lines, and you know, it makes. I'm a people person. I like not to people watch, but I find that reading people not as good as Darren Brown, but if you read people, it says an awful lot more about what actually comes out of their mouth. And you can't do that in text. You can't do that in the internet. You get to know the real person standing right in front of them. Watching their eyes, watching their hands, watch how they move.
That anonymity is empowering for all the wrong people. So, yeah. I do like, say, when I went Atheist Assemble, and there was just, you know, very casual mingling. There wasn't a separation of anyone. It was just like, you know, you're getting your tea and coffee from the same place that the guests are. Like, yeah, it's all one room. Like, so, yeah, it's definitely things to consider, because I've seen firsthand what good stuff the likes of Mimsy and Vidu did that night.
Somebody did tag you in the chat.
Faithless Forum, so
to interrupt you in that, someone tagged you in the chat earlier.
Not that I'm in the chat, but carry on.
Oh no, way earlier, man, like 20 minutes, half an hour ago, and actually mentioned them two names, but as it scrolled past, I couldn't remember what they were until you just mentioned them, Mimsy, and someone said to you to link up with them.
Yeah.
I've never even heard of them.
Because Mimsy and Vidu are, as far as I'm aware, Muslims. They are, or at least part of that sort of community, and they set up Atheist Assemble, which is an event that had people like Jimmy Bangash, Sadia Hamid, Miriam Namazi, Rationality Rules, Jim Skeptic, Cosmic Skeptic, eventually, because he turned up a little bit late, Zara K, and Armin Navabi, I think was the full guest list. So
you've been doing this for how long now?
Oh, the podcast.
Well, this thing on YouTube.
Yeah, properly for just over a year.
I've never even heard of any of these other conventions that happened. Well, I suppose if you're a content creator, you'll have heard of more, obviously, if you've been out there for a year or so.
Yeah, there's Atheist Assemble was August, I think, in London. So they ended up hosting it in an Arab hotel. It was like this full-on ex-Muslim event. Like, I don't know how they did it. And I'm getting advice from people like Faye the Most Gracious and Zara as to how to go about doing this. And naturally, being a man, I'm just completely ignoring them.
Mansplaining as we do.
They did say no more than 3 on a panel, so I said immediately, you know what? Let's just have the biggest all-woman panel ever, and we could maybe get that number up to about 9. But yeah, I still got work to do before that gets finalised. Well, but there's some very interesting ideas that are coming out.
Definitely fair play to you, man, for taking the, the front runner and getting it done. I know it sort of got forced upon you, but whatever movie it was that said that what was it? Leadership isn't, good leaders aren't someone who wants leadership. Leadership is forced upon them, and it seems to have happened with you.
Something along those, yeah.
I'm totally like butchering the comment, but you get the fucking point I'm making. Yeah,
It's beautiful.
It's lovely. But now you have to live up to it, though.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, man, I guarantee you, if you rented, what do you call them, a fucking teepee or one of them big blow-up tents that holds 100 people and pitched it in a fucking field, we would all turn up. Anybody in the UK would turn up. We all would be there, We would, because it's at the end of the day, it's just an excuse to get together and meet everybody. We don't really want to go to your convention.
Yeah. I don't worry. I full on plan to take advantage of the situation and just take the piss out of all these different lovely guests.
You could do that. What do you call that? A roast?
Debates and...
Yeah, you could do a specific roast. Are you going to do a fancy dinner? Are you going to do awards? Are you going to order in McDonald's?
I won't do it. No, I won't do awards. This isn't. I'm not imitating the Brighton event.
No, well, that's what I'm asking. Yeah.
Do something better. But no, I won't do any awards. Not because of some like everyone wins kind of nonsense. Just because I think there's far too much going on, or there's a bit of feedback loop.
You sorted? You heard?
Yeah, I think so. No, it's not. It's still feedback loop for me.
Can the audience hear feedback? I'm grand in my end.
It's only just started on this sort of sentence, really. I can sort of hear my words back at me. It's as if you've got like a browser open and it's playing back at you.
Well, I don't wear headphones. I have you going on a TV, but I've turned it down.
Okay.
How's that now? But I've been doing this the entire show.
Better. Yeah, I don't know why that seemed to get picked up, but I forgot what we were talking about.
Yeah, that's what it was. You were trying to defer attention away from your fantastic DaveCon that we're having. It didn't work, man. It didn't work.
There's a lot to do.
Yeah. No, but as I say, it wouldn't matter if it was in a tent in a field. We would all turn up there. One thing I wanted to ask though, are you going to charge £600 and have a secret after party for like 15 people and we're not allowed to come?
You know what? The idea that I had, tickets would be something like 20 quid, but I was going to add an Easter egg, which we can, for some reason there's still feedback, I don't know why, but I'm just going to carry on. I was going to see if I can on some website that will be coming out at some point before the event, adding a promo code Lance, and it would increase the price to about £1,000. But I don't know whether that's even possible. But if that is, then just people of live chat, just check that out when it comes. Just remember, and we'll try and actually make that happen.
So if somebody wanted to
Easter
donate,
egg for the dedicated.
Yeah, so if somebody wanted to donate more money to help the event go along better, they could enter the promo code and make it more expensive.
Yeah,
perfect.
but really, it's just a joke on Lance's behalf. I would of course give a full refund for anyone who was to use the actual promo code and give me £1,000 for their ticket.
Well, if they did that's one award. It
doesn't give you anything extra.
You'll have to give them an award. Give them their money back and at least that award. One little award. Little tiny itsy bitsy.
Tiny little
award. Or a little man, you know, with a really bad look on his face, like a look of expression, look of shock.
It'd just be a dildo with their name carved into it.
Now that
With
would
the
work.
back of a knife. Just like, there you go.
When my dad chrome plates stuff, man, he can get it chrome plated in silver or gold. I'll get that can be my contribution to it. I'll get him to chrome plate a dildo in gold. I'll see if that's possible. We might have to carve one out of a wooden shape. What are you doing, Robbie? I'm just carving a penis out of a piece of wood. Any particular reason why?
I got
getting
fucked at Dave Khan award. Yeah.
Any particular reason you're doing that? Oh, I'm getting it chromed. And then they just leave the room. Oh.
It goes off.
Dave, I very much enjoy having you here. I'm not kicking you off or anything, but if you're still up, you seem more awake. You seem up for a bit of crack. Would you be up for taking questions from the audience to see if there's anything anybody wants to ask you? Is there anything you ever wanted to ask an Irishman but never did?
I only a quick update on the whole general election and Brexit situation, because I could be having rationality rules on this week. We're still not sure. So if you have any up to date news on the event, then
not really, no man.
Situation.
The elections here is a disaster. We haven't had a government properly for over 1,000 days. Both of them are as bad as each other. I'm a Protestant by birth, but I would agree with a lot more of what Sinn Féin would say. I think the United Ireland is a good thing and should happen eventually down the line. I know it's very tough at the minute. I did vote Brexit. I did vote for Brexit, but I voted for that hoping that Northern Ireland would get a special status, and it would force us more so down the line of a United Ireland, at least economically. And it's a long conversation. I'm a complicated man, and yeah, the Good Friday Agreement always takes precedence. So Northern Ireland and the south of Ireland will always have free travel back and forth, and no matter what happens and no matter how long they drag it out, they'll always have to give that precedent. You know, so no matter what happens, whether we're in, whether we're out, we still have to have free trade. It's a long ass conversation, man. That's an entire episode on its own. Like.
Yeah, just a very quick one while I'm remembering. This is the correspondence in my just the past few days, just from the Lib Dems, and there's even a letter in here from I've forgotten his name now, Alistair Campbell, telling me to vote Lib Dem. There's all sorts of various different lovely things in here. Former Deputy Assistant Commissioner to the Met Police, the actual MP themselves, John Redwood, obviously, the actual sitting MP. Because there was a poll that came out that said, despite John Redwood getting 58% of the vote in Wokingham, where I am, consistently, pretty much for the rest of time, he's now only got a 4% lead, and he's gone all the way down to 42%, and the Lib Dems have gone up all the way up to 38%.
Yeah, the Lib Dems seems to be doing
there's just tons of things that are being sent right now, and it's mad. All in preparation for Thursday. They still haven't got the nominees selected in America yet, let alone.
I would follow American politics more so than I would follow our own politics. Because American politics to me is like a real life sitcom. I would know more about the American elections and what's going on over there than I would actually about what's going on in this country. Because I just give up. Because the people on the street actually don't want the way it's set up. Like the way it's set up in Northern Ireland is we must have a Protestant and we must have a Catholic, both in charge. One supposedly the First Minister and the other's the Deputy Minister, but they both can't do anything without the others say so. So they're both got the same power. They can't agree on anything. And when it actually comes down to it, we've a vote coming up this week, man. You wait and see. And it'll be Sinn Féin and DUP that'll get 90% of the votes. Because the people in this country don't vote for who they want. They vote to stop the other guy getting in. Even though when they talk about it, it's just the situation that we've been forced into after the Troubles. It did help, but it's run its course. it's not helping anymore. It's just making things worse. And it's just a fucking
Yeah, that's
disaster.
interesting.
It's an absolute disaster, man. As I say, it's an entire episode on its fucking own. And probably a lot of disagreements. But, you know, to be personally honest, I don't give two flying fucks about England or Scotland or Wales. I don't care about being in the Union. You know, I care about my heritage. I'm a Protestant. I come originally from Scotland, and, you know, I would trace my family tree and things like that, and I'd go to the Protestant holidays, but I also go to the Catholic holidays because, as I said, the girlfriend is a Catholic, and our wee girl has been christened a Catholic. Because again, my woman wants all the cultural things, like the christening and, you know, the confirmation and stuff like that. They all still do that, and she has admitted that it's a reason to get the family together, because her family are from down south, way down south, and she now lives up in Londonderry, so it's 4 hours between her and her family. So whenever there's a christening or a confirmation, there's like 20 cousins and 4 aunties and all the fucking other kids and oh, seriously, man, like it's insane.
Yeah.
You know, and they are all big Republicans, and they're all very staunch Catholics, and our auntie says her rosary and prayers before she goes to bed and all that. Very big, strong Catholics. But
yeah, it's just not my experience on life. It's very different.
Well, Northern Ireland still is a wee bit old-fashioned.
But
yeah, it is still a wee bit old-fashioned and backwards in what it would be reference to, you know, Christianity and things like that. But it's mostly cultural, man. They do these things because that's what you're supposed to do. You know, it's don't get away from that door. Excuse me, sorry. You know, you're supposed
bloody
to get
IRA.
Yeah, pardon?
It's a bloody IRA.
As I said the other day in video, as I said, I don't know if it was actually on chat. It may have been off screen to John and Messenger Reveals. Look up the news, man. I think it was August this year. Bomb went off in Londonderry, outside the courthouse. My wee girl and my woman were less than a mile and a half away from when that went off. Like, the IRA did that. Like, you know, it started to get worse here again because of Brexit, and. Well, maybe not because of breakfast. That's a fucking big, giant, sweeping statement. It was getting wild for a while, and it's probably that they're using as an excuse. But certain people want to blow shit up, and certain people will blow shit up regardless of what the situation is.
I've described Brexit as a catalyst to a potential recession, which is sort of being delayed slightly because of what's happening in Westminster. But
well, the recession I can see happening in America. They've totally, they've artificially inflated the market. They bought back all them shares. They haven't helped out a goddamn person. And when Trump leaves and they bring in new rules and regulations, I can see the fucking market possibly crashing. Definitely in the next 3 or 4 years. I'm not sure. I'm trying to do my house up to sell, and me and my woman's in the talks now is whenever we sell my house, do I put the money in savings and then we rent for a year and see what happens? And then if the market does crash, we could get a very nice house for less money, you know, take advantage of it. Or should we go and buy a nice house now hoping that it doesn't happen, and then it does, and we get stuck in negative equity? You know, it's... And the market's run off fucking gossip. That's the worst thing. 90% of it is off gossip. You know, it's a very bad system. But it's what we've got, and we have to work with it, so...
Yeah, to go full circle, the event that I'm doing, the venue could well be my old university, and I did an economics and management degree there, so yeah, I know exactly what you mean. There's limited information that is filters through from that particular part of my life, not because I was drunk, because I don't drink, but it's just wasn't a particularly
yeah, well, my background's in physics and maths. That's what I wanted to do originally, but life got in the way. I did a year and a bit in Queen's University in Belfast. I'm sure you've heard of Queen's.
Yeah.
Well, I was there for a wee while, but shit happened.
That goes Queen's, yeah.
I
have a friend that goes Queen's.
Yeah, great school and stuff like that there, but as I say, just life got in the way. It's on another video, and it didn't sort of work out. I never lost the love for it, but I was originally a different name, and then certain person in the chat, Doorknob Head, named me this as a joke, and I ended up stuck with it. And then I got an icon and just sort of ran with it, you know. But
Well, I am now in the live chat as of like a few minutes ago. So
yeah.
I know
Well,
there
that
was
was just the one message I needed to make you a moderator, because Doorknob Head complained that you weren't blue. So there you go. Woo! If everybody's blue though, it takes away from the novelty of the blue.
Sure. Yeah. Although then you have a few weeks like I have, and there's, your sub count doubles, and then you're very grateful that you have that many mods. So
Well, that'll probably never happen, man. I've been going since about properly the middle of September. I've got, I think, 212 subscribers, something like that. So
it's decent. I don't know what amount of time you've gained that in, but to gain that many, followers on Twitter, friends on Facebook, whatever it may be, that's a lot. Like 200 people.
Well, I didn't release the first video till I got 100 subscribers, but I would be in the chat an awful lot, and I'm hilarious, you see. And whenever you're as funny as I am, people just subscribe to you because you're fucking hilarious. And then I was like, right, well, I suppose I'm going to start releasing content now. And then I fucked about and released a few videos on my phone, just messing about and playing. And then I just decided, fuck it, if I'm going to do it, it's something to fill my time, because I don't generally sleep. As I said to you before, I would sleep maybe, except for a Monday, 4 or 5 hours a night. That would be me. So this is good fun, good time, and splashed out, bought a wee computer, bought everything but a camera. I need a fucking camera. My camera zooms in and out of focus too bad, but yeah, no, it's fun, it's enjoyable, and as I say, this is a step up from the chat. You've seen me in the odd chat. I've started recently following you this last maybe 3 or 4 months or so, but even just back and forth, as we said earlier, it's very limiting. So what we've discussed tonight in an hour would have taken us a week in text.
Yeah, and that's the whole point. That's exactly why I'd started the channel. And then the quality eventually just got better, because it wasn't all that. And yeah, it is what it is now, and it will eventually get better. I probably won't become any more competent at using these hotkeys.
I'd stay away from the hotkeys, man.
Jump around pages and
the hotkeys are shite, because you forget sometimes and you jump and you hit the wrong button. I've that wee intro, and I said it is a hotkey that whenever I put numlock as it, and I don't know how I hit numlock, but I'm having a conversation and all of a sudden the intro happens and it's like, what I hit? Shit, damn, no. Turn it off. Yeah. The 2 screens is better.
I don't use any of number lock, that part of the laptop either, on the keyboard, so just making sure everything's set up properly, and then trying to have as of Lance, the newest hotkey is being able to mute my guest. So yeah,
but then how can they dig their own hole? But it's fun. It's an enjoyable experience learning all this stuff as well, man. Like, as I say, I have a wee bit of a background in physics and maths, but that's when I was 18. I'm 36 now. I've been in the company that I'm working with for guts of 20 years, even before I went to university and all. And I'm just a mechanic, changes tires and does that sort of thing. Like, but it's nice to learn. I continue to learn. I can't sit still. It's always fun to learn new things. I tried to learn programming because I wanted to make a wee bot for my Discord before it was open to everybody, when I had just a few people in it. Oh, excuse me. And that didn't work out. All I could get it to do was give commands back to people and give it shit. It was a proper little Irish bot that just fucked people off and give them abuse, and that's all I could get it to do. So I was like, right, I need to learn that. So I learned bots and then learned Discord, and I was like, right, Discord's done. Now I can talk to people and do everything in Discord. Right, time to learn OBS. Get a computer, learn OBS. Just keep working up through the ladder.
It's nice. When you eventually get used to it and you start to edit some things and play around and you just learn little bits here and there. Otherwise it's just overwhelming. Just do something straightforward and then just try and think, oh well, maybe I could try and do that or
That's
this.
exactly it. Yeah.
Just do it for the hell of it.
Yeah, my first video, I thought I was absolutely fantastic. Timed all this back and forth and everything, and at the very end of it, randomly out of nowhere, I threw a load of Muslims doing a dance in a circle with some dance music on top of it, like really heavy techno, and I thought I was fucking hilarious. And then Spooky Bedher in the chat came back and went, Robbie, there was no need for that. Like, it was badly done, and it was just, no, why did you do that? And then you look at the later videos that I've edited, and I've timed the pictures to directly appear with the music. You know, you sync up your pictures with your music, and as you say, you gradually just get better with time, and fuck about with shit. That's the only way you get to learn anything. I learned engines because my car blew up, and I had to replace the fucking engine. And when it blew up, I broke my hand by punching the wall, so I had to learn how to engines with one hand. So it's
shit.
Oh well, it was fun. It was fun. Lots of stories there, man. But yeah, well, we've done over an hour, David. I know you do like your sleep, and it's 10:15. I didn't mention this to you earlier, and I haven't announced to anyone, but we've got Dry Apologist coming on in 45 minutes for a chat as well. So if everybody wants to come back in 45 minutes, Dry Apologist hopefully won't be too dry. Even his picture is dry on his YouTube. It's just him sort of sitting holding his head up, just sad looking. But he's coming on in 45 minutes, so yeah, I'll let David go and get some sleep. I gonna light the fire because it's getting a wee bit cold, and I have to empty the dishwasher.
Yeah,
fucking hate
sure
emptying the dishwasher. But thanks everybody for turning up. David, again, thanks loads, man, for coming. I know it's late enough for you in the UK here with me, but I really appreciate it. I do also like your music selection and your posters in the background. Gorillaz, big thumbs up. Prodigy, maybe not the big thumbs up. I'll not play to you because you're YouTube famous. I don't like Prodigy. But yeah,
fair enough.
Thanks for. Oh no, it's definitely honest here. We're always honest here, man. Straight up, no fucking about it. Makes remembering things easier. You have to be a good memory to tell lies.
And that I do not.
No, exactly, man. You have to write everything down. It's like, hold on, I can't talk back to you to a check my notepad. What did I say to you? But yeah, thanks everybody for turning up, David. And yeah, everybody check out David's channel. I'll fill in the description later. Stupid OBS won't let me copy and paste for whatever reason. But
I think last time I checked, we was about 22 off of 1,000 subs. So.
Oh right, well definitely.
Shilling.
Yeah, that's what I'll do in the next 45 minutes. There will definitely be links to David's channel. Come on, 22 subscribers. That's not much. To 1,000, that must have doubled really quick, man. You were what?
It was on 560 for the Lance interview.
Yeah, I thought 568 or something like that.
For a long fucking time.
Well, now you've hit 1,000. You've got your own community. Well, you will hit 1,000. You'll have your own community tab. And there's lots of other functions that happen with 1,000. The algorithm starts pushing you more, and yeah, you're going to be bigger than Mr. Atheist. You'll have your own. You'll have your own army, man. Your own army. Right. Well, I will say thank you everybody again, and we'll hopefully see you back in about 40 minutes, 45 minutes if Dry Apologist turns up. So, bye.